Hey, we are at the letter I. There is no I in team, or is there? Who do we got for the letter I?
Between me and you, we decided on Allen Iverson.
We did. We're switching it up a bit. We wanted to, recognize someone who I think a lot of writers are inspired by him, write about him, celebrate him all the time. I know that in my household, there was a shrine dedicated to him back in the day. Every time that they were, making it to the playoffs, my brother would just find ways to bring Iverson into the home. And then he would make sure that we didn't move anything because he was super, super, super superstitious when it came to, I can't even say superstitious, when it comes to Iverson. So, for anyone who is new to, hearing from you, I'm just going to say off the top that you are an incredible basketball player, number one, and you have beaten all of my brothers, I believe, at one point or another. I'm just going to say that on record.
Saying it in public?
It's on a public forum, so it's in there. You've definitely taught me how to play. And so why does Iverson take up the letter I for you?
So he's a point guard who has no fear whatsoever, and you just watch him get beaten up in the paint, and he's just there like, I don't care, I'm going in, I'm gonna score, you can knock me down, I'm gonna get back up. Mm-hmm. And if you hear and basketball, I have a whole philosophy of life that's associated to basketball. So basketball, even though I don't really have basketball players that are writers that I can quote from per se, the way they play and the way that they exist in the world, basically like the whole philosophy of the game, which is, so basketball is the first thing that'll teach you your worst opponent is yourself. So if you can, there's so much, I don't know where to begin. So, but he's one of those players that has it. So if you're somebody who can get in the flow, in the zone, which means nothing else exists but your own being, it's like a spiritual practice. Mm-hmm. Nobody can get in your way. Nobody can stop you. So LeBron James, Jordan, Iverson, mm-hmm. These guys, nobody can do anything because they're playing in their own world. Like they're not moving at the same speed. They're not operating with the same fear. They're just playing they're dancing in their own world, right? So he's that guy. But the other reason I respect Iverson, aside from the fact that I'm a point guard and I love point guards, and he's just a little guy with so much heart who just got knocked down but like doesn't care, just gets back up, fights, he's ready to fight again, like he's just never gonna give up. When I watched there's a documentary about him, I think on Netflix, mm-hmm. And again, we're gonna talk about racism and society, which we keep coming back to, you can't escape it if you're Black in America.
Wait, say that one more time? Say that one.
We're gonna keep coming back to, because you can't escape it if you're Black in America, right? So he was like, I don't know what they call it in the States, but like all American.
All American.
At football and at basketball. Like, so he was the best player in his state, yeah, in two different sports. And they were the politicians in his state resented it so much that they tried to sabotage his career. I'm not joking. So he goes to a bowling alley one day, people break out in a fight, he dips because he was already like a big star athlete in high school. It was like a fight between Black kids and white kids. The Black kids all get blamed, arrested, they name him as being implicated. Mm-hmm. They threaten him with jail, they threaten to take away his scholarship, they threaten to take away his career. And this is just pure vindictiveness. Mm-hmm. Watch it in the documentary. And the only way he gets off is because either was a governor or some other high-level politician was like, if you go play at the school that I tell you to go play at, mm-hmm. then we're not gonna arrest you. We're not gonna.
And was that Georgetown?
Yeah, I guess so. So he ended up playing at I watched it. I was like, can people ever, like, for real? Like, this is. So either you're corralled into menial shit, but if you're somebody who can succeed, you still get fucked with, right? So he got fucked with at that level. Then he makes it to the NBA eventually after, whatever kinds of things he already faced as a young man.
Mm-hmm.
In the NBA, he's just being himself. He's like, I'm not pretending I'm not black. I'm not pretending. I'm not going to perform for you. I'm not going to dress in whatever way you deem respectable. I'm not going to behave in whatever you deem respectable. So he's the guy who's wearing chains. He's the guy who's wearing whatever he wears and being who he is, wearing cornrows. There's plenty of documentaries around how, black people are policed via their hair,
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm gonna be me. And the NBA was like, in response to that, we're gonna force all players to wear suits going forward.
Oh,
not have, this style, and like, we're gonna police you and control you. So he was a rebel against that. He is a resistance fighter in my mind. He's all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shows up on the court and he's like, I'm in my zone, man. Like, you can't touch me. So it's kind of, we go back to Nicky Giovanni. He's like, I'm gonna make my dreams despite you. I will embody them. I will live in them. It doesn't matter what you try to do to me. So that's Iverson.
He opened up doors and then held them open. And he was, to this day, like I have so much love and respect for him as a player. And I just feel like when you look at the NBA and you see, guys with full sleeves and just, cornrows, all the hairstyles you can imagine, he started it. He was on the cover of Slam, full afro, loving who he is. And I just feel like, I think it was freeing for so many players who were kind of, not to knock any of the players that came before, but who were abiding by these rules. And I think a lot of us have our own stories of how we've struggled to be accepted in our workplace. You know what I mean? And I have my own. I used to work for a really, really nice hotel. And I remember going in once and they said to me, your hair is too high. And I was like, what do you mean? And they said, your hair has to be no higher than, I believe it was like 2.5 inches. And back then I was wearing, you remember, I used to like kind of do like a faux hawk sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they told me my hair was too high. I needed to slick it down. And it was one of these things where like, I think at the time I was just a rule follower. I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I gotta wear my hair flat or whatever. And it really messes with you. Like it eats you in a way that you're not even really aware of until you, at least for me, until I quit that job. And then I was like, wait a minute, this was really fucked up. And this was really fucked up. And this was really fucked up. And,
discrimination.
Yeah, you start to understand it all. And so I do believe that if it weren't for people like Iverson, a lot of us, they passed that was it legislation in California where now you can no longer discriminate someone based off their hair. You can't tell someone to wear their hair a certain way at work anymore. Mm-hmm. I think it was individuals like Iverson that planted the seed and made it a permanent, kind of thing that we made sure would never happen again in the workplace. So
yeah,
I mean, I can talk about Iverson all day. That is who we've selected for the letter I. So as you can see, we are mixing it up. You're not going to get the same thing every time. So now we're going to go to the letter J. And who knows who it'll be? Let's see.